Hi, my name is Kevin Grote, and I'm going to teach you how to play Mint Cooperative by 524 Labs. Mint Cooperative is set in the same minty world as Mintworks and Mint Delivery, but Mint Cooperative is, as the name suggests, a cooperative game. In Mint Cooperative, you'll be playing as a superhero trying to stop a villain from causing mayhem throughout Mintopia City and its neighboring towns. Before we jump into the rules, let's get the game set up, because how are you going to play if you don't set it up first? Alright, first, you'll create the county map by placing the Mintopia City card and 6 other town cards into this arrangement here. Each town's freshness track will fill with mints from left to right. Each card will start with 3 white mints on the freshness track. Place the rest of the white and red mints nearby. Next, separate the mayhem cards from the rest of the trouble cards. Shuffle the trouble cards and separate them into 3 piles of 4 cards each. Add 1 mayhem card to each pile, then shuffle each pile individually. Stack all 3 piles on top of each other to form the trouble deck. Now, shuffle the stunt cards and place them on the side of the playing area. Place the regional panic card and the action die reference card near the county map. Roll all 4 action dice and place them near the action die reference card. Now, pick a villain card you'd like to face this game. For your first game, Nicotine is the recommended villain. Place the villain near the county map, then place a red mint on the regional panic track on the number indicated on the villain card. For Nick, that's 4. Next, check the villain card for any additional setup steps, but for Nick there are none. Some villains require you to set up an event deck, which is done by shuffling the remaining trouble cards and placing them in the play area, far enough away from the trouble deck that you don't confuse the two, because you might, so keep them separated. If you don't have to set up an event deck, simply return all the remaining trouble cards to the game tin. Good. Now each player takes a hero card and matching hero token. Each player places their hero token on the town card matching its color and name. The player with the freshest breath will be the starting player, so make sure to keep some actual mints nearby to ensure you can always be the first player. Wrong one. After breathing in everyone else's faces to prove that you should go first, deal 1 stunt card to the first 3 players, beginning with the starting player and dealing clockwise. Stay tuned till the end of the video to see the rule changes for a solo or 2-player game. Alright, now we're ready to begin. During the course of the game, trouble cards will be revealed and resolved. Mixed in with those trouble cards are 3 mayhem cards. Reveal and resolve all 3 mayhem cards, and you win. However, during the course of the game, if the regional panic track ever meets or exceeds 27, you lose. Also, some villains may have additional lose conditions, so keep an eye out for those on the villain cards. Each player's turn will consist of taking 1 action die and performing the action associated with it. The number of the die will determine which action is taken. For a die with a 1, place 1 mint on your current town's freshness track. For a die with a 2, place 2 white mints on the freshness track of your current town. For a die with a 3, run by moving to an adjacent town, and then place 1 mint on the freshness track of the town you just moved to. For a die with a 4, fly by moving to any other town, then reduce panic by moving the red mint back on the regional panic track 3 spaces. For a die with a 5, perform the heroic feat listed on your hero card. For a die with a 6, refer to the villain card to see what action you should take. After selecting an action die and resolving the action associated with it, play will proceed clockwise to the next player. If at the start of a player's turn there is only 1 unused action die remaining, then the active player re-rolls all the action dice and checks the results, because they may cause trouble, but we'll get back to that in just a minute. Next, all players will discard their stunt cards, used and unused, and deal new stunt cards to the next 3 players, starting with the active player. Since we're talking about stunt cards, let's talk about what they do. I know you're probably still wondering about trouble, but we will get to that, okay? Don't worry. Try to stay focused. We're talking about stunt cards right now. Okay, great. These stunt cards will give players special actions that they may take. In order to perform a stunt, the player must take an action die matching the die face shown on their stunt card. The player then takes the action on the stunt card instead of the normal actions associated with that die face. When the stunt deck runs out, just reshuffle the discarded stunt cards to create a new stunt deck. Okay, it's time to talk about trouble cards. I know, You've been waiting very patiently. I'm so proud of you. So, after the 4 action dice have been re-rolled, check the results for 4s, 5s, and 6s. If all the dice show 3 or less, then there is no trouble. Nothing happens. Simple enough, right? If there's at least one die showing a 4 or higher, but none of those dice are doubles or triples, then this causes trouble. If there are doubles of 4s, 5s, or 6s, it causes double trouble. Even if you roll 2 sets of doubles, only one double trouble is triggered. If you happen to roll triples of 4 or higher, this causes a triple threat. Each villain card has different effects for resolving trouble, double trouble, or triple threat, so reference that to see how you resolve your roll. Let's say while rolling, we roll a 1, 3, 4, and 4. The 2 4s will trigger a double trouble. If we refer to Nicotine's card, we see that a double trouble will cause the players to resolve 2 trouble cards. Resolve trouble cards one at a time. Start by drawing the top card from the trouble deck. Notice that the layout on the trouble card matches the layout of your map. Also notice the number of mints shown on the trouble card. Now, for each red highlighted town, you will remove the number of mints shown from that town. While removing mints from a town, you'll need to check for 2 things. The first is whether or not there are any mints left on the town's freshness track. The second is whether or not at least one new panic symbol was revealed on the freshness track. If either the freshness track is empty or a new panic symbol was revealed, then you count up the total number of visible panic symbols on that town and increase the red mint on the regional panic track by that much. Do this same thing for each town that is highlighted red on the trouble card. So that's how you resolve a trouble card. I mentioned this earlier, but you might have to resolve multiple trouble cards, so get ready to feel the pain. Mixed in with the trouble cards are mayhem cards. These suck. When you draw one of these, you'll do 2 things. First, count up the total number of visible panic symbols on all the towns and increase the panic track by that much. Second, perform the special mayhem effects on the villain card. Oh, look, Nick doesn't have one. Whew. After resolving your 3rd mayhem card, assuming you haven't met any losing conditions yet, you have successfully defeated the villain and won the game. Congratulations! Alright, now that we've gone over how to play, let's talk about a few other things, starting with events. Some of the villains will use something called events, and events definitely make the game harder. If you remember, I mentioned events during the setup, but because we're playing against Nicotine, we set the extra trouble cards aside. If you're playing against any other villain, set those extra trouble cards on the table to be used as event cards. When rolling the dice and determining what type of trouble you're in, refer to the back of the villain card. As you can see, some of them will tell you to resolve both trouble cards and event cards. In order to resolve event cards, refer to the front of the villain card. Events will use the toxic icon on the trouble cards. Now, for a solo game, you will play as 3 heroes instead of just 1. Each hero will need to take their turn in order as if it were a 3-player game, so don't lose track of which hero's turn it is. Also, when handing out stunt cards, each hero will receive 1 stunt card, and those stunt cards cannot be mixed or moved around among the group of heroes. So, if you're playing with Citizen Cinnamite and they receive the Got a Bad Feeling stunt card, then they are the only hero that can use that stunt card. During a 2-player game, each player will play with 2 heroes. Once again, they must take their turns in order as if you were playing a 4-player game. Just like when playing solo, stunt cards will be handed out to individual heroes and must remain with that hero. In other words, when playing a 2-player game, if the other player looks at you and tells you that it's your turn, you can't say, which hero should I use this turn? You have to keep track of their turn order. I find it easiest to just flip over their card or rotate them sideways to help keep track of which hero has gone and who hasn't yet. Also, you can't say, it's Liberty Licorice's turn. Which stunt card do I want to play? Yeah, you can't do that. Well, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If not, then good lord, why did you watch all the way to the end? Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Each villain card has a different action effect for each... Villain card has... Dang. If you're playing against another villain, See, I can't do two things at once. All I was trying to do is take cards out of a tin, and I made it like 2 seconds before I stumbled over my words. Refer back to the...